a boy's dreams were stitched together with his father's calloused hands. In the quiet heart of rural Australia, where gum trees swayed and dusty roads stretched for miles, one promise between a father and son would outlast storms, struggles, and even time itself. This is not just their story. It's a reminder that love once planted never dies. The promise under the gum tree. The late afternoon sun painted the small country town in a golden hue. Dust rose from the unpaved road as young Liam kicked his worn-out footy ball, the rubber patched and stitched more times than he could count. His father, Jack, leaned against the old gum tree in their backyard, watching with tired but proud eyes. Jack had been a shearer all his life, working sunup to sundown in the shearing sheds across New South Wales. His hands were rough, his back bent from years of hard graft, but his heart was soft as spring rain, especially when it came to his only boy. "Dad," Liam called, dribbling the ball across the patchy lawn. "One day I'll play for the Swans. You just wait and see." Jack chuckled, folding his arms. "Mate, if anyone's got the guts for it, it's you. But promise me something." "What's that?" Liam asked, panting from his play. "Promise me you'll never give up. No matter how hard it gets, you keep pushing. Life's a bit like shearing. Long days, sore muscles, and sometimes you feel like you're not making a dent. But if you stick with it, the job gets done." Liam nodded, wide-eyed, the gum leaves whispering above them. "I promise, Dad." That promise, made under the gum tree, would echo through years of struggle, triumph, heartbreak, and healing. For now, though, Liam just saw his dad as the strongest man in the world. He didn't know that Jack's body was already betraying him, that the years of back-breaking work were carving cracks in his health. Nor did he know how much that promise would test both of them in the days to come. The years rolled on like the Murray River after heavy rains, steady but relentless. Liam grew taller, stronger, his shoulders filling out with the promise of manhood. Jack, however, began to show the wear and tear of his shearing life. The first sign came one winter morning. Jack was hitching the trailer when a sharp pain shot through his chest. He brushed it off as just the cold air, but his wife Sarah wasn't convinced. "You've been pushing yourself too hard, Jack," she warned, her voice thick with worry. Jack forced a grin. "Love, I've been pushing all me life. Nothing new there." But Liam noticed. He noticed how his dad took longer to straighten his back after a long day, how he coughed more often, his breath shorter, how the spark in his eyes sometimes flickered, as though fighting against an unseen wind. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the paddocks, Liam found his father sitting alone under the gum tree, the very tree where their promise had been made years earlier. His hands trembled slightly as he rolled a cigarette, though he didn't light it. "Dad, you all right?" Liam asked, dropping his footy bag by the fence. Jack smiled faintly. "Course I am. Just thinking." "About what?" "About how quick it all goes. One day you're the young bloke with dreams in your head. Next thing you know, you're wondering if you've done enough for your family." Liam frowned. "You've done more than enough. You've given us everything." Jack's gaze softened, pride glinting through the weariness. "Not everything. There's one thing I want for you, mate. I want you to have the life I couldn't, to chase your dream without stopping. You've got more fire in you than I ever did." Liam swallowed hard. "I will, Dad. I promised, remember?" Jack chuckled, though it turned into a cough. "Yeah, and promises made under this tree mean something. Don't you forget it." The cracks in Jack's armor grew wider as months passed. A trip to the doctor confirmed what the family had feared: heart trouble, made worse by years of hard labor and long days in the shearing shed. He was told to slow down, maybe even retire, but slowing down wasn't in Jack's nature. Bills still piled up. The family needed the money. And deep inside, Jack was terrified of becoming useless. Liam saw it all. He saw his dad's stubborn pride, his mum's quiet worry, and he felt the weight of responsibility pressing on his young shoulders. He wanted to help, but he was still just a boy chasing a football dream. One Saturday afternoon, after a school match, Liam spotted his dad sitting in the stands. Jack clapped the loudest, his voice carrying across the oval. "That's my boy! Go on, Liam!" For that moment, Jack looked like the old Jack again. Strong, unshakable, larger than life. But later that night, when Liam crept into his parents' room to grab his jacket, he saw Jack slumped on the edge of the bed, head in his hands, breathing heavily. It hit Liam like a punch to the gut. His hero wasn't invincible. His dad was human, fragile even, and that scared him more than anything. Still, life carried on. The gum tree in the backyard stood tall, a silent witness to their changing world. Liam often sat beneath it after training, remembering the promise he'd made as a little boy. Never give up. But he wondered, what if the promise wasn't just about footy? What if it was about family? About carrying on when the people you loved most began to falter? The question lingered, unanswered, as Jack's strength continued to fade. And soon, the family would face a turning point that would test the promise in ways none of them could have imagined. When the sky broke open. It was a wet spring afternoon when the turning point came. The rain drummed on the tin roof as Sarah prepared dinner, the smell of lamb stew filling the small kitchen. Liam was hunched over his homework at the table when a crash echoed from the shed outside. "Jack?" Sarah shouted, panic in her voice. Liam bolted out the back door, bare feet slapping against the muddy ground. He found his father collapsed on the dirt floor of the shed, his breath shallow, his face pale as chalk. "Dad!" Liam cried, dropping to his knees. Sarah was right behind him, phone in hand, fumbling as she called for an ambulance. Jack tried to wave them off, tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. His eyes, once so steady, were full of fear. That night, under the harsh hospital lights, Liam sat in the waiting room, his foot tapping nervously against the tiles. Sarah paced the floor, whispering prayers under her breath. A doctor finally approached, his expression grave. "Your husband's had a minor heart attack. He's stable for now, but he'll need strict rest. No heavy work, no stress, and he'll need ongoing treatment." Sarah nodded, tears streaming down her face. Liam clenched his fists, anger boiling in his chest. Not at his dad, not at the doctor, but at the unfairness of it all. Jack, the strongest man he'd ever known, was lying weak in a hospital bed. In the weeks that followed, the house felt different. Quieter. The sound of Jack's boots stomping through the hall was gone. Instead, Liam heard the creak of the recliner chair as his dad dozed in the lounge. The hiss of the oxygen tank when his breathing got rough. The soft whispers of Sarah trying to hold everything together. Liam wanted to help. He tried picking up odd jobs after school, mowing lawns, stacking shelves at the local IGA, but it wasn't enough. He saw the bills on the counter, the worry etched on his mom's face, and he felt helpless. One night, as Liam sat under the gum tree, his old footy ball in his lap, Jack shuffled out to join him. His steps were slow, but his eyes still held that familiar glint. "You know," Jack said, lowering himself carefully onto the bench, "I used to sit here when I was your age, wondering if I'd ever get out of this town, make something of myself." Liam looked at him, surprised. "You never told me that." Jack chuckled softly. "Didn't seem important. I stayed, worked hard, looked after the family. Can't say I regret it. But you," he reached out, placing a shaky hand on Liam's shoulder, "you've got a shot. Don't waste it, mate. Don't let my mistakes hold you back." Liam's throat tightened. "They're not mistakes, Dad. You gave us everything." Jack smiled weakly. "Maybe, but your promise, that wasn't just for me. That was for you. For your future." Liam gripped the ball tighter, his chest burning. He wanted to tell his dad that none of it mattered if he wasn't around. He wanted to say he'd trade every dream just to keep him safe. But the words stuck in his throat. Instead, he nodded. "I won't give up, I swear it." Footy season came around again, but it felt different. Every game Liam played, he carried his father's voice in his head. Every sprint, every tackle, every kick. It wasn't just for him anymore. It was for Jack. But with the weight of responsibility came doubt. Could he chase his dream while his family struggled at home? Could he walk away to play footy when his dad needed him most? One evening after training, his coach pulled him aside. "You've got real talent, Liam. Scouts are starting to notice. Keep at it and you could go places." Liam's heart leapt, but almost instantly guilt dragged it down. How could he think about leaving when his dad might not even make it through the year? That night, under the gum tree, Liam sat in silence. The leaves rustled above him, the same as they had the day he made the promise as a boy. But now the promise felt heavier, like a chain around his chest. For the first time, he wondered, was keeping his word even possible? The sky broke open with rain, soaking him to the bone. But Liam stayed there, clutching the old footy ball, whispering into the storm, "I won't give up, Dad. I just don't know how." Crossroads. By summer, the house had become a careful rhythm of medicines, checkups, and quiet evenings. Jack's strength rose and fell like the tide. Some days he managed a slow walk to the shed, other days he barely left the recliner. For Liam, life was a balancing act. School, training, part-time work, and helping his mom at home. It was more than most kids his age could handle. But he did it without complaint, because deep down he knew his father would have done the same. One hot January afternoon, after a grueling training session, Liam's coach waved him over. "Got some big news for you, mate," the coach said, handing him a folded letter. "Sydney Scouts want you to trial. This could be your shot." Liam's chest pounded. This was it. The dream he'd carried since he first kicked a ball against the fence. But almost instantly, the thought of leaving home crushed the joy. His dad, pale and coughing, flashed in his mind. His mum, tired but determined, holding everything together. He nodded stiffly. "Thanks, coach. I'll talk it over with my family." That night, he sat at the kitchen table with the letter in front of him. Sarah glanced at it as she chopped carrots for dinner. "What's that?" she asked. "Scouts," Liam muttered. "They want me to come to Sydney. Trial for the Swans." Sarah's knife paused mid-cut. Her eyes softened, but worry clouded them. "Oh, Liam? That's wonderful." "But I know," he said quickly. "I can't leave you and Dad. Not now." Before Sarah could reply, Jack shuffled in, leaning heavily on the doorframe. "Can't leave us? What rubbish is that?" Liam froze. "Dad." Jack took the letter, scanning it with trembling hands. Then he looked straight at his son. "This is what you've worked for. You don't throw that away because of me." "But you need me," Liam protested. His voice cracked. "Mum needs me. I can't just bugger off to Sydney while you're—" He stopped himself, but the word hung in the air. Jack's jaw tightened. "While I'm sick? Liam, listen. I'm not asking you to ignore us. I'm asking you to live, to chase your dream. If you give that up, then all I've ever worked for means nothing." Tears stung Liam's eyes. "But what if I go and something happens? What if I'm not here?" Jack stepped closer, placing a rough, warm hand on his son's shoulder. "Then you'll know you left doing what you were meant to. And that's what'll keep me fighting. You hear me?" The kitchen fell silent, except for the ticking clock. Sarah wiped her eyes on her sleeve. "Your dad's right, love. We'll manage. We always have." That night, Liam couldn't sleep. He lay staring at the ceiling, the letter on his bedside table like a burning ember. He wanted the dream. God, he wanted it. But guilt gnawed at him. Just before dawn, he slipped outside to the gum tree. The air was cool, heavy with the smell of eucalyptus. He touched the rough bark, remembering the promise. "Never give up," he whispered. Suddenly, he realized something. The promise wasn't just about footy. It was about resilience, about carrying on even when life shoved you to the ground. If he stayed home out of fear, wasn't that breaking the promise? For the first time, the path seemed clear. Painful, yes. Scary, absolutely. But clear. He would go. He would try. For himself, for his dad, for the promise under this very tree. The day he left for Sydney, Jack insisted on walking him to the bus stop. His steps were slow, each one a battle, but he made it. The townsfolk nodded as they passed, a quiet respect in their eyes. At the bus, Jack pulled Liam into a hug, strong despite his frailty. "Remember, mate," he whispered, "every time you take the field, I'll be with you. Right here." He tapped his chest. Liam swallowed hard, blinking back tears. "I'll make you proud, Dad." "You already have," Jack replied, his voice breaking. As the bus pulled away, Liam pressed his forehead against the glass, watching his father grow smaller in the distance, standing tall under the blazing sun. For a moment, he looked like the Jack of old, unyielding, unbreakable, larger than life. But Liam knew the truth now. His dad wasn't unbreakable. He was human. And that made his strength all the more extraordinary. The legacy. Sydney was louder, faster, and brighter than anything Liam had ever known. The city lights never seemed to fade, the stadiums echoed with voices that carried for miles, and the pressure to perform pressed down like a weight he'd never felt before. At first, he stumbled. The drills were harder, the players sharper, the competition fierce. But every time doubt crept in, he thought of his dad standing under the gum tree, his voice steady. "Never give up, mate." So he pushed harder. He ran until his lungs burned, trained until his muscles screamed, and played with a fire that came from somewhere deeper than ambition. It came from love. Weeks turned into months, and slowly, he carved out his place. Coaches noticed. Teammates respected him. And finally, on a crisp Saturday evening, he pulled on the red and white jersey for his first professional match. As he ran onto the field, the roar of the crowd thundered in his ears. But above it all, he heard one voice, his father's. "That's my boy." Back home, Jack watched the game from his recliner, oxygen tank by his side. Sarah sat close, her hand in his. When Liam kicked his first goal, Jack's whole face lit up. "He's done it," Jack whispered, pride swelling in his chest. "He's bloody done it." Tears blurred Sarah's vision, but she smiled. He kept the promise. Jack nodded, a tear sliding down his weathered cheek. Yeah, he did. The seasons rolled on. Liam became a regular name in the league, his reputation growing with every game. He traveled across the country, played in packed stadiums, and even made headlines. But no matter how far he went, he never forgot where it all started. Whenever he returned home, he would find his dad waiting under the gum tree, slower, thinner, but still standing tall. They would sit together, sometimes talking about footy, sometimes about nothing at all. The silence between them was never empty. It was full of shared understanding, of a bond that didn't need words. One autumn evening, after a long season, Liam came home to find Jack weaker than ever. His breaths were shallow, his skin pale. "G'day, Dad," Liam said softly, pulling up a chair beside him. Jack's eyes lit up, though his voice was faint. "G'day, champ. Heard you kicked the winning goal last week." "Yeah," Liam said, smiling sadly. "But it wasn't me out there. It was us. You've been with me every step." Jack chuckled weakly. "Reckon I've been slowing you down then?" "Never," Liam whispered. A long silence followed. Then Jack's hand, rough but trembling, found Liam's. "Remember the promise?" Liam squeezed his hand. "I'll never give up, Dad. Not ever." Jack smiled, his eyes closing gently. "Good. That's all I ever wanted." That night, under the quiet watch of the gum tree, Jack passed peacefully, his family by his side. The days after were a blur of grief and remembrance. The town turned out in droves for Jack's funeral. Farmers, shearers, neighbors, old mates. They spoke of his work ethic, his humor, his heart. But for Liam, what mattered most wasn't what others said. It was the memory of a man who, despite his flaws and frailties, had given him everything. A man who taught him that strength wasn't about being unbreakable, but about standing tall even when you were breaking inside. Years later, Liam stood under the same gum tree with his own young son. The boy clutched a brand new footy, his eyes wide with excitement. "Dad," the boy said, "one day I'll play just like you." Liam knelt down, resting a hand on his son's shoulder. "Mate, if anyone's got the guts for it, it's you. But promise me something." "What's that?" "Promise me you'll never give up. No matter how hard it gets, you keep pushing. Life's a bit like footy, long days, tough knocks, and sometimes you feel like you're losing. But if you stick with it, the game turns around." The boy grinned, nodding eagerly. "I promise, Dad." As the gum leaves rustled above them, Liam felt a warmth in his chest. The promise had passed from one generation to the next, just as his father had intended. And though Jack was gone, his presence lingered, in the whisper of the wind through the gum tree, in the courage that burned in Liam's heart, and in the legacy of never giving up. For promises made under a gum tree last forever.